Hey, eighth grade, it's Miss Johnson. I'm back again, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about making inferences, and we're going to review how to do that. So I know you already know what you're doing, so it's just a quick review. Hold on, let me get the things that we need. So give me 1 second. Okay, so today while we're making inferences, we're going to use two things. We're going to use this making inferencing chart that will be shared with you, so you'll have access to it. You'll be able to make a copy of it in Google Docs, and you'll be able to go in and edit and put answers and the materials in there on your own. We will also be using this PowerPoint, and it will be shared with you also. And there are extra practice slides that we're not going to cover while we work on it today, but you'll be able to go in and work on those. Your teacher may assign you to do those on that chart to turn in for a grade. So you'll have access to the PowerPoint that has the review, and then you'll have access to the inferencing chart. So what is an inference? So think about it. Have you ever overheard part of the conversation and you tried to imagine what was going on or what it was about? If so, you're making inferences. If you hear somebody mention your name in a conversation and you're like, oh, they're spreading rumors and they're talking bad about me, you're making an inference. You don't really know what they're saying. You're just kind of thinking that's what they're saying. Because we make inferences all the time. You make them throughout the day, probably every day. It's just a part of life. So what we're going to do in the following exercises, we're going to practice making inferences from short dialogues. And we know that a dialogue is a conversation between two or more people. So our first dialogue says, person A says, excuse me, do you live around here? Is this Elm Street? Person B, no, this is Maple Avenue. A, Maple Avenue? Oh dear, I really don't understand this. I'm looking for Elm Street and I thought this was it. B, no, Elm Street isn't anywhere near here. A, but wasn't that the high school back there? B, no, that was the town hall. A, oh, then I really am confused. Can you take a look here and show me where I am? B, sure, let's see. You're over here, see, this is Maple Avenue and here's the high school. Now, if you want to go to Elm Street, you better take the bus. So we're going to make some inferences about this conversation. And you probably have already done that just as you were reading and listening to me read it. You kind of naturally make inferences. So first thing, where are these people? I can infer that these people are out on the street in probably a town. It's probably not a huge city. You know, it's not in New York, but it may not be a super small town like Wascom, probably, Marshall, Longview, that kind of town. It's big enough that they need to take the bus to get from one place to another. So really probably more of a Longview, Tyler, but it's small enough that they're not afraid to stop and ask people on the street where they are or tell them that they're lost. So medium size, not huge, not small, but in town. What are they talking about? Well, they're talking about directions. The person A seems to be lost and person B is trying to help them find their way. What is their trust level with each other and how do they know this? They seem to be pretty trusting, person A especially, because they're asking a stranger where they are and how to get where they need to be, and they're trusting that stranger to give them the right information. And we know that because they say, where is this? Do you live around here? And person B is comfortable enough or trusting enough to stop and tell them. What's the time period? I don't know that we can 100% say. I would think that this is probably more in the summer than during the school year, because it doesn't seem to be kids around. If they were, she would kind of, or he would kind of know if they were really near the high school if there were kids around. So it's probably more summertime or some other kind of holiday time period when school's not in session. It seems to be during the day, I would think. But again, we can't say that for sure. Are there any other inferences that we can make? Well, we can't really say whether these are men or women because we don't know. We know one person is lost and somebody else is trying to help them. And that could be men, that could be women. And we just don't know. So, right now, there are not a whole lot of other inferences we could make. If we had more information, maybe we could. But with what we have, we can figure out where they are, what they're talking about, and kind of how much they trust each other, and a little bit about the time period. So let's try our second dialogue. So person A says, for here or to go. Person B, to go. A, large or small. B, small. A, light or black. B, black. A, sugar. B, yes, 2 please. A, want a bag. B, no thanks. A, that'll be 75. B, here you are. A, bye now. B, bye. So where are these people? Well, I know that when I go to fast food places, or not even just fast food, but more of a restaurant, fast food, some type of place where you get food, they'll ask if it's for here or to go. So I'm going to infer that they're in a restaurant or a fast food restaurant of some type. What are they talking about? Well, person A is saying for here to go or asking a lot of questions about what person B wants. So I think they're talking about person B's order and what they want from this dining establishment that they're in. What is their trust level with each other? I guess person B trusts person A enough to place their order with them. So there's some level of trust there. It doesn't have to be a super large level of trust for there to be some. Do we know anything about the time period here? No, not necessarily from what we have. It seems like they're drinking coffee, but people drink coffee any time of the day. But then again, I'm not sure what light coffee is, so it may not be coffee. So you can see how we're taking the information that we have and we're kind of using what we already know, plus what the story says, to create our inferences. And that's what we're going to keep practicing. This is with dialogue, and we're going to keep going. We're going to do another dialogue, and then we're going to look at some other things. So person A, fill it up, please. B, regular or super? A, regular. B, want me to check the oil? A, no, that's all right. B, what about the windshield? Need a cleaning? A, sure, go ahead. B, okay. A, how much? B, $10.50. A, here, put it on my Visa. B, we don't take credit cards. A, no credit cards. Hope I've got the cash. Let's see. Let me look in my jacket pocket. No. Oh, here, that makes 10. I must have another 50 cents on me somewhere. B, don't worry about it. A, really? I'm sorry. I thought I could use my Visa. B, that's okay. You can give it to me next time. A, thanks a lot. So what are these people talking about? Well, I know regular or super is a type of gas. I know that you check the oil on machines like cars, trucks, even lawnmowers. So it's some kind of machine. But then a windshield. Cars have windshields. So cars have windshields, oil, and they use gas, regular or super. So I think they're talking about filling up the car with gas. Where are these people? They're at a gas station. And I'm going to think that it's a full service gas station, which is where the people who work at the gas station fill up the car, check the oil, do that kind of thing. So that's what I think. What is their trust level with each other? And how do you know this? I would think that their trust level is really high because when person A says they want to put it on their Visa and person B tells them they don't take credit cards, person A can't quite find enough money and person B tells them to just bring the rest next time. And so you have to be pretty trusting to let somebody only pay you part of what they owe, especially for something like gas and that kind of thing. So person B is very trusting. What's the time period? I'm going to say this is in the past. maybe the 50s, 60s, somewhere in there. It could be 70s. It's a time when people have started using credit cards, but they're not used all the time by everybody. So it's not going to be present day. And also present day, we don't really have these full service gas stations where they'll fill up your car and check your oil and clean your windshield. Those are more a thing of the past. I think they really kind of stopped. I stopped seeing them around probably in the 80s. So this is going to be before that. This could be the 80s, but it's far enough back that people are still trusting of each other. And gas was fairly cheap because they filled it up, and it was still only $10.50. So we know this is going to be in the past. So I would say 60s, 70s, some years ago, 30, 40 years ago at least. And are there any other inferences that we can make? Not really. Not that I can think of. You may think of some that I didn't. And if you do, that's fine. Send me an email. Just let me know, okay? Fourth dialogue. So how is it? So how was it? Person B says terrible. Person A, really, were you were so excited about going? B, I know, but I tell you, I'm glad to be back. A, what happened? B, first of all, there was the weather. It rained every day, not just a little, but all day. There we were with these gorgeous beaches and no sun. And now if you're like me, you're already picturing things as you're reading. So I can picture person B. I can picture what they're saying. I can see these beautiful beaches and it being cloudy. Person A, I guess you didn't get much of a tan. B, look at me. I'm as pale as I was before. So while I'm reading, that kind of tells me that person B is Caucasian because they're pale. They're not going to be Black or African American because they were looking to get a tan. So I'm thinking somebody of more of a lighter skin tone. A, at least you must have gotten some rest. B, rest. The second day we were there, my husband got sick. He was sneezing and coughing for 3 days and nights, and then I caught his cold. I felt just awful for another 3 days. So again, as I'm reading this, I'm inferring that person B is going to be a woman because it says my husband got sick. And while things have changed, then that may not be the case. That is kind of my inference. Person A, well, how was the food? Person B, that was the only nice thing about the whole week, except that we were too sick to enjoy it half the time. Anything new in the office? Person A, not much. It's been a slow week. So I also think that person A and person B work together because they're talking about anything new in the office. So where are these people? So I'm going to infer that these people are at work because it does talk about anything new in the office and it being a slow week. So I think that maybe they work together based on the story. So what are they talking about? They are talking about person B's vacation, which really didn't go the way that they wanted it to. What is their level of trust with each other and how do you know that? It seems like they're pretty friendly. Person A knew that B was going on a vacation. They knew that B was excited about the vacation. They knew what B was looking forward to on the vacation and that kind of thing. So there seems to be some level of trust and comfort and familiarity with each other. So I think their trust level is kind of high. What's the time period? It's probably spring or summer. Because they were going to the beach. Now, I kind of think maybe even spring because there was a cold, but that could also happen during the summer. But I think maybe late spring, early summer, sometime around when the seasons are changing. What time period? Oh, no, that's the one I did. Any other inferences? I kind of went through the other things I inferred as we were reading the dialogue. So that one's already answered. All right. So here's another one. So right now we're going to infer what's going on here. And so we have, it's a little bit longer, but we have about a paragraph that we're going to read and we're going to see what we can figure out. So the procedure is actually quite simple. first arrange things into different groups. So things that I'm already picking out, I know there's a procedure. So a procedure usually means some kind of steps. And then it says first arrange things into different groups. So I'm sorting things out. Of course, 1 pound may be sufficient depending on how much there is to do. If you have to go somewhere else due to lack of facilities, that is the next step. So I've sorted, and now I'm deciding whether I need to go somewhere else. Otherwise, you are pretty well set. It is important not to overdo things. That is, it is better to do a few things at once than too many. In the short run, this may not seem important, but complications can easily arise. A mistake can be expensive as well. At first, the whole procedure will seem complicated. Soon, however, it will become just another fact of life. It is difficult to foresee any end to the necessity for this task in the immediate future, but then one can never tell. After the procedure is completed, one arranges the materials into different groups again. So I'm sorting again. So I begin my procedure by sorting. I do something. I have to be careful with what I'm doing, or it can cost a lot of money. And then I'm going to sort again. All right. Then they can be put into their appropriate places. Okay, so I'm sorting, organizing, putting up. Eventually, they will be used once more, and the whole cycle will have to be repeated again. So really, what can I infer going on here? They are doing laundry. They're sorting the laundry into piles, but they could only need one depending on how much. But they don't want to overdo it. You know, if you overload the laundry, then things can mess up. If you're not careful, it can be expensive, an expensive mistake. Like if you put bleach in something that's not supposed to be bleached, or wash something that's dry clean only, those can be expensive mistakes. Let's see. Laundry keeps going. You know, you wear, wash. So it's ongoing, like I said, like it says. So yeah, laundry is the task. Good job if you figured that one out. All right. So after this practice, what does it actually mean to make an inference? Well, to make an inference is to think and make meaning about something beyond what is written in the text. So you take the story and you add to it. To combine what is read about what the reader already knows about the subject. You're reading between the lines. This is another way of drawing conclusions. What do we need to know? Why do we need to know how to make an inference? Well, it helps us make sense. It helps us comprehend our text. Because an author doesn't always put everything in writing. You need to know how to infer in order to fully understand the text. Could you imagine what it would be like if an author put everything in writing and you didn't make any inferences? You would never be able to finish reading anything just about, because they would have to include so much detail, so many things that we just kind of know are going on. They would have to write it out. And so everything you read would be so much longer than it already is. You have to infer all the time, not just while reading, because you do it just throughout your daily life. You're going to the store with your mom and you make an inference when, you know, you ask her a question, you ask her to get your favorite snack and she tells you, well, why she will or why she won't. You're making an inference about what's going on. So you make inferences all the time. You infer people's moods. You infer whether your teacher or your parents or your neighbor or whoever, your friend, whether people are upset with you. So you make inferences all the time, not just when you're reading. And they help you to flex your higher level thinking muscles. The way to get better at something, including thinking, is to do it. And inferences, that's just you thinking. It's you thinking about what you're reading and what you're seeing. So there's an inference formula. And this one is prior knowledge plus the author's words equal your inference. So you take what the author says and you add it to what you already know, and that's where you make an inference. And so you can remember that one by PK plus AW equals inference. The one that I like a little bit better, it does the same thing, but I like it a little bit better. I like when we're making inferences, because inferences are what the author doesn't tell you about the characters and events, and you use your story clues, background, and and the story, clues, and background knowledge to make an inference. And so I like that one. I like text clues plus schema. I like the word schema, but that's your knowledge, your background knowledge, and you add those together to make an inference. And if you notice, when I was going through the dialogues, I was saying things like, I can infer, or this could mean, perhaps, maybe. Those are your thinking stems. Those kind of clue you or clue other people in that this is an inference. The story doesn't necessarily say it, but this is what I feel like it's talking about. So we're in practice using our inferencing formula with some pictures. And so hold on, I'm going to try to get our other screen up also so you can see how it works with the chart. All right, so here's my chart. There's my picture. So the title of this one is Breaking Home. So I'll put that here. All right, text, evidence, and clues. I see a boy in a suit and with a suitcase and trunk, with the suitcase and books. There's a dog and an old man or older man, and they're sitting on the side of a car. So schema, background information. Well, I know that, sorry, I didn't get my title completely right. It's Breaking Home Ties. My background information is that when I went to college, I took a trunk or suitcase like that, and I had books to study, right? And so my inference is going to be that the boy is leaving home to go to college. Is that a logical inference based on the information that I have? I think so. So let's look at the next one. All right, this one is called Feeding Time. All right, and in this one, I see a man, he's in a uniform, and he's eating a sandwich or lunch. It looks like lunch. There's a sandwich, there's a thermos of food, of something to drink, and he's reading a newspaper. And then in the background, there's a cage with a lion in it watching the man. What is my schema? What is my background knowledge that I know? I know that people have lunch breaks at work. I know zoos keep animals in cages. So what can I infer? What is my inference? My inference is that the zookeeper is eating his lunch or is taking a break, and the lion is hungry as well. Okay? And I can base that on what I know and what I see. One more. This one is called The Black Eye. So what's my text evidence? There's a girl and she looks kind of messy. Disheveled is the word. If I can spell it correctly. She has a black eye. There's a door open. It looks like it says principal. There are 2 men inside the other room. See a file cabinet, open file cabinet. And look on the girl's face. She looks happy or proud, looks proud of herself. Okay, so my schema, what do I know? I know that schools have principal's office. Schools have principals. And offices. I know students who get in trouble usually get sent to the principal's office. I know that sometimes when kids get in a fight, kids fight at school sometimes, and their clothes can get messed up. So, and you can get black eyes from fights. All right. So what can I infer? My inference is that this girl got in a fight and is proud of it. She's not worried about being sent to the principal's office. Okay? So that's how you use the inferencing chart. You take what you have in your text evidence, and remember, a text doesn't always have to be written. In this case, our text is a picture. It could be a story. It could be a dialogue like we had. It could be a picture, a video, whatever. So it doesn't have to be a written out text. In this case, we just use pictures. But you take your text, clues and evidence, you add those to your schema. Your schema is what you already know. That's your background information. It's knowledge in your head that nobody else can take away. It's what you know, what you've experienced, what you've seen. And you put those two things together to make an inference. And an inference is like an educated guess. It's got to be based on something, or it's not a logical inference. And you want to make logical inferences that are based on text evidence and our personal schema. Okay. Let's come back over here to our PowerPoint and finish it up. Let me get to where we are. We're at near the end. Okay. So wrap up discussion. So what does it mean to make an inference? Well, to make an inference, that means that you take what you already know plus what the story says, and you put it together to make an educated guess. You are creating more meaning than what the story just says. And why do we need to know? Why do you need to know how to make inferences? Sorry, there's a typo. You need to know how to make inferences because, one, you do it in daily life. Just as you go about your day, you make these inferences. You need to make inferences because they help you think, they help your thinking skills, they make you a better thinker, which helps you to be successful in not just in your academics, but in the world, because it's as simple as it's you thinking for yourself. When you make an inference, you're taking what you know and you're adding it to what you don't to give it some meaning. And so you need to know how to make inferences to help you navigate the world to be successful in your future. That's all I have for you today and on inferences. So there we go. You have any questions, let me know. You can send me or your English teacher an email. My email is johnsonjl@marshall.isd. You should know your English teacher's email addresses if you would rather ask them than me. But I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.